remember.
Story time.
Story time. I think it is a story time. Are we talking about the
Chemical shrinkage.
chemical shrinkage? ASTMC 1608, first brought to the United States by Dale Bentz.
No way.
I think so.
Oh,
I think so. I think he was on the committee. Obviously, there was a group of people, but I believe, and memory doesn't always serve me correctly, but it was a Japanese test that he brought in. But why don't you go through the?
Oh, the setup?
Yeah,
Oh my.
it's fantastic.
Well, you did most of it. So what you have to get these little tiny vials.
55 millimeter tall by 22 millimeter inner diameter.
So they're just these little itty bitty things.
I could get one.
Do you want to grab one?
Can I go get one?
Yeah.
There is a story behind this. This is one of my favorite test setups.
Is it? You hated it initially.
I hate the test, and I think it's somewhat stupid. Haley, you're not looking at this. Like, look at this.
So here's this tiny little vial.
Tiny little vial. And you have to put in somewhere around it's either 3 grams or 3 millimeters tall of paste.
Right.
Fill up the rest with denatured water. And then what you do is you got to put this stopper on.
No, wait though. So the stopper.
Wait, no, that's part of the story. I'm just
Okay, yeah, go
describing
ahead.
the
Yeah,
setup.
yeah, okay.
Then you have to put the stopper on. You have to level the stopper out because you see
With a pipette.
with this 1 milliliter pipette that's broken up into 1/100th increments.
Right.
And there can't be any air bubbles, so you have to close it so that there are no air bubbles.
Right.
And then what you have to do is it also has to be within this window. And then you have to put paraffin wax on top of it to stop evaporation. Right. And then it goes into a temperature controlled water bath. And then you have to take measurements.
Does it go in water bath?
Yeah,
I thought it just was a temperature controlled area.
But we used a temperature controlled water bath. And then you have to measure it, I think like every hour, every half hour. There's a weird wacky measurement.
I know.
We met somebody who did photogrammetry that take pictures of it
Right.
and measure it from there.
Yeah.
But that's the setup.
So
And you have to do 3 for every
each.
one mix. And you have to mix it. Oh, there's a special mixing process.
Yes, it's this whole thing. So when we used to do this all the time.
All the time. All the
I
time.
have no idea why.
It's a great test. It's a great test for a lot of
Maybe
different
we need
things.
to start trying to sell that again. We'd have Haley do
Have
it.
Haley do it. So
That's kind of fun.
when we started, the hardest part was not finding these things.
No,
No,
they
this was
weren't
easy.
horrible. So the rubber stoppers that came
Yeah.
with them do not have a hole in them.
You can't get rubber stoppers with holes. You have to find a very specific manufacturer.
Which we found eventually.
Eventually.
But initially, Jon was drilling.
No, because you can't drill
How did you get
this
the
type
hole
of material. What we did is first we put the rubber stoppers in a freezer, right?
in? Right.
And we try to drill it out.
Oh, by making it more brittle.
Then we put the rubber stoppers in liquid nitrogen and try to drill them out. But it was always at the heat of the drill, you could get like halfway through it and that
Right.
hardened plastic or rubber would go soft again. And it would grab it and it would spin it or it would tear it. Then what we try to do is punch it through.
Right.
But these pipettes,
They're so delicate.
they're so
glass.
trying to get the cotton swab out of, you remember that?
Yeah.
We used so many different techniques. So it was extremely difficult. Eventually what we did is we just kept looking until we finally found a manufacturer that
Had stoppers with holes.
with the right size hole.
Yeah, because it has to be just barely big enough for the pipette to go through.
Which is, it's not the standard pipette size. That's the other problem. Yeah, so after that, it was finding the right glue.
Right.
So wait, let's go back to freezing them. So what I did is every other weekend or every weekend, I would go to my buddy Rocco's house where we would have the stoppers in the freezer overnight, over a few nights, or he'd have the liquid nitrogen somehow. And we'd use his drill press on his mom and dad's driveway to, almost injure ourselves.
Yeah, no, it was not.
It was not
we have
cool.
a lot of those stoppers.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
Not
at
ideal.
all.
So we eventually found these, and these have the perfect holes. You got to find the right size hole, which we did. and then it's finding the right epoxy, and then it's learning how to epoxy it the right way.
And that's just setting up the apparatus.
So, okay, and I'll finish it off here. If you don't get the epoxy set up the right way, you can have vapor going through or water being pushed through, and you won't see it.
So you're getting inaccurate readings.
Until you run the test. So that's why when you see, it has a very specific, all of them have a very specific glue twisting look to them.
Right.
It's because we have a very specific way. Okay, so go ahead, babe. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So there's all that to just do the initial setup for this. And I am sure we did not charge nearly enough then. I have no idea what we charged. I don't remember. It's been so
It's
many
like
years.
$75 a sample.
Oh gosh.
Sample set, something to that effect. It was terrible.
And literally hours and hours.
Hours.
Anyways.
With golf with ping pong balls.
Right. So then you have to mix up a sample in a Ziploc bag, like a cement paste sample.
Right.
And do you have to do one for each one of these?
One set, you get for three.
For three.
So it's for every one mix, but then you can always do triplicates of your mix, which we did. We ended it up.
Well, and then you've got to take a little tiny micro spatula and get it in just the right amount in and pat it down. So you've got to, it's quite the, who would have been great at this? Tyrell. He would have been freaking he would have been
amazing.
A rock star at this test. Anyways, so it was just this huge ordeal, and then you have these readings that start occurring every, I think, 30 minutes for 24 hours or something.
So we started this test when we were living with my mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to work at NIST with Dale Benz, Paul Stutzman, Ed Garbozzi, a lot of SEM work, and then I was going to NIST in Gaithersburg to do some ultra small angle neutron scattering, where I was using that same cement paste to bombard with certain types of different radiation to look at the different phase developments and the silicone states and blah blah blah. And I wanted to do homework beforehand. I wanted to do a test that they had brought into the country, and this is actually something that we did. That we did with the Bureau of Reclamation. There's two procedures. A and B, and we did B, which was this one. The A one, you're taking masses or weights down to the 0.001 grams, and that one was just even worse. So we just started running these in the laundry room, and then the laundry room, we couldn't keep the temperature constant enough. So we did, first we started in the garage. Couldn't control the temperature in the garage. So then we went to the laundry room.
And then you got the freaking dryer bouncing around, had to redo samples.
So then we put it on the dining room table.
And Jonathan's mom's dining room table, that's her space. She keeps it super fancy, even has a vinyl cloth over the fancy tablecloth, a vinyl,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then always has
planned
it's this really nice dining room with all of her,
We weren't doing 24-hour soaks, we were doing 12-hour soaks. So we planned it so that Mom wouldn't be home when these samples were on the dining room table.
She came home.
She came home.
She was so mad.
She was so... Harry, I can't.
I told you they would take over the whole house. Yeah. Yes, bless them.
Bless them. So patient with us.
Yeah. They really were.
So it is, and what it basically tells you is, I guess we didn't even go over with the information that you get. So you have your denatured water that goes throughout your pipette, and what ends up happening is, as you go through the hydration process, you start consuming some of the tri-dicalcium silicate as well as the water, and you start creating a porous microstructure, so the volume changes.
Right.
And because
your water starts coming down.
Water is drawn in. Because the water is drawn in, you'll see a drop in your milliliters. Now, if you have an expansive component, the argument could be made that you have an increase.
So you've got to, there's a very specific area here where you've got to put it so that you've got your numbers up top and your numbers on the bottom. So if it expands, you can read it up there. If it's, if it's taking in water, then, it's obviously coming down.
What did we do?
I want to try it.
This is a wild test. I remember
we did
the pipettes I used to break.
Oh, I know.
Oh.
a lot of colorful words when you were setting up this test.
No, and then you take the micro spatula and you try to.
The whole thing was just such
your hand is shaking. And you know what denatured water is? Haley, do you know what denatured water is? You know what denatured water is? Do you know what denatured water is? In our next video, Haley is going to be explaining denatured water and how you make it.
Psych!
No psych! I hope you're psyched out
Oh my gosh.
to do this test. Yeah, you'll do the whole test. That was the best idea you have ever had, Haley. Talk about getting ready for the PE. So, up and coming, Haley's going to be doing ASTMC 1608 procedure B. Yes!
Yeehaw!
Go Concrete!
Beat asphalt!